Hello, my name is Marissa Aponte, and I'm going to be discussing some environmental concerns in Chittagong, Bangladesh. The objectives are urbanization and the environmental impact in Chittagong, Bangladesh, environmental issues in the slums of Chittagong, and health consequences resulting from environmental issues. Table of contents. I will discuss the population growth in Chittagong City, slums, housing structures, and the materials utilized, water sources, arsenic contamination, waste disposal, health consequences, and then a summary. Overview of Chittagong City. Chittagong is the second largest city and commercial capital of Bangladesh. The population of Chittagong City grew from 2.06 million in 2001 to 3.56 million in 2016, and as of today, 5.1 million. The population growth is primarily caused by rural-urban migration of the poor from environmentally vulnerable and economically depressed areas. Figure 1 goes over the population growth from 1990 to 2020. Slums of Chittagong. Large amounts of poor migrants settle in slums, which are far too often characterized by poor environmental services with high levels of pollution. Conditions of these slums lead to high numbers of residents being afflicted by a variety of physical health threats, including environment-induced diseases. Slums are prone to polluted air and water, unhygienic sanitation facilities, poor waste disposal system, and the inadequate housing structures in the neighborhood are the key factors responsible for environmental health risks. Housing structure. The use of indigenous materials dominates the housing patterns. Houses lack structural stability and durability, which in turn depend largely on the judicious selection of materials and sound structural design. 66.6% of the slum houses of Chittagong City are very poor quality, and they lack proper ventilation. Figure 2 demonstrates the house types among slum neighborhoods in Chittagong City. It's broken down with the plastic and the tin, which is used for roofing, mud and brick is used for flooring, and thatched bamboo and brick are used for the walls. Water sources. Deep tube wells. The World Health Organization and UNICEF state that access to improved drinking water sources in urban areas of Bangladesh has declined from 88% in 1990 to 85% in 2008. The main source of water for drinking, cooking, and bathing in the slums is deep tube wells. The well water contains a visibly high presence of iron, which has unknown health effects. When deep tube well water is collected and kept in a jar, drum, or bucket for a few hours, a brown layer forms and the water looks unappealing. Arsenic contamination in water. Bangladesh is facing perhaps the largest mass poisoning regarding arsenic in history. Arsenic, a semi-metal, colorless, tasteless, and odorless toxic element, is known as the king of poison. Arsenicosis is a well-known chronic disease which occurs from drinking water contaminated with an exceedingly high level of arsenic over a long period of time. A 2014 study in Chittagong found arsenic present in tube well water in 13 city wards, which exceeds WHO guideline values for drinking water. Waste disposal. The inhabitants use the shared kitchen, which in most cases is located near the latrines. As the latrines are always kept open, there is a possibility that flies carry germs from these latrines and spread those germs. Out of the slum neighborhoods, approximately 54% of the people have access to paka, which are sanitary but shared latrines. Maintenance of these latrines is the responsibility of the neighborhood. Unfortunately, these responsibilities are not properly followed. However, often the latrines remain filthy and unsanitary. 46% of the neighborhood people use kucha, which are non-structured and open latrines. These latrines either leak raw sewage into the surrounding environment or fail to prevent flies and other vermin from accessing the pit that contained the raw waste. Additionally, about 39.3% of the people throw their domestic waste into open spaces rather than dumping grounds. Health consequences. Disease among slum dwellers in Chittagong occurs from consuming contaminated water from tube wells that is not boiled prior to drinking. The World Health Organization estimated that about a quarter of the diseases facing mankind today occur due to prolonged exposure to environmental pollution. Improper waste disposal attracts disease-carrying insects and rodents to the neighborhoods, where they contaminate food and homes. Latrines in the slums are unhygienic and are a breeding ground for disease. Lack of enough space in the house also contributes to morbidity from respiratory infections and activation of tuberculosis, meningitis, typhus, cholera, and scabies. Table 3 demonstrates the diseases present in Chittagong City, and it's broken down with each slum in Chittagong. Summary. Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries globally, with an immense amount of water sources that are consistently being polluted. The slums of Chittagong have unfavorable living conditions due to housing structure, unsanitary latrines, improper waste disposal, and contaminated well water that ultimately results in negative health outcomes. The rapid rate of urbanization in Bangladesh has created some adverse effects on the overall urban environmental health of the cities.